Dana White just announced the next 9 main events for upcoming cards, and we're going to get right into it. Starting with the biggest banger on the schedule, UFC 328 in Newark. This one is going to be insane. We got Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland. Obviously, so much bad blood between these two. Dana White even said he's scared about how much security that he needs for this event, and he's certainly right. I mean, Khamzat obviously has been on a tear ever since he got in the UFC, beating the big names, Kamaru, Robert Whittaker, DDP, and really dominated just about all those people. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Sean Strickland can do. Sean Strickland obviously has that, weird, unique style that maybe can throw off Khamzat a little bit, but got to think that Khamzat's still going to get it done in this one. And honestly, the other fights in this card are also great. We got Volkov versus Waldo Cortes Acosta. Obviously, Waldo has been, I forget how many he's won in a row, but he's been dominating. I want to say 5 fights in a row against good fighters. And then also Volkov as well. He's on a hot streak. I think he's won 4 out of the last 5. So got to think that whoever wins this one is going to be next in line for the heavyweight title. We also got Sean Brady and Buckley in this one. And while both these guys have struggled a little bit, got to think that a win from either of these guys could definitely propel them into title contention. We also got Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. These guys fought back a couple months ago in a draw, so they're running this one back. Really hope Jan can get this done. I've had a great career, but hope he can at least squeeze out a couple more wins at the end here. And then lastly, the first one on the main card, we got King Green versus Jeremy Stephens. Both of these guys, they're exciting fighters, so I got to think that they're going to kick off this main event with some fireworks. So definitely a great start to the card. The next main event that was announced was the April 25th card in Las Vegas with Aljamain Sterling versus Youssef Zalal. And both of these guys have done a lot at 145. Obviously, Aljamain, after having the bantamweight belt, he's come up to 145. He's beaten Calvin Kattar, beaten Brian Ortega. So he definitely belongs in this division. And then you also got Zalal, who's on a 5-fight win streak. His competition, I don't think, has been as strong. I mean, he beat Kattar, and then he beat Josh Emmett and Billy Quarantillo. So he's also on a hot streak here, and I got to think that whoever wins this fight, this might be the featherweight title eliminator. I think that whoever wins this one could probably get a shot at the belt in their next fight. And then on May 2nd in Perth, we got Beneil Dariush versus Quillan Salkilld. And while both of these guys are coming off losses, I got to think that Quillan's going to get this done. Beneil, obviously a legend. I think it was 2018 to 2022. He went on that incredible 8-fight win streak. Has obviously been, losing a lot of fights since then. And got to think that this is going to be a tough test for him. I mean, Quillan is a rising star, some would say. He is coming off of that loss to BSD, but I think if he, beats Beneil on this one, it's definitely going to build his confidence and kind of help him shoot his way to the top of the rankings. Next announcement was for May 16 in Las Vegas. This is Arnold Allen versus Melquizael Costa. Arnold Allen, you can remember, I think 2 years ago, he was right at the top of the division. He's obviously been on a little bit of a skid now. Recently lost that close decision to Jean Silva at UFC 324. And Costa, on the other hand, had a completely different 2025. Some would say he had the best 2025 out of any UFC fighter. He racked up 4 wins, and 2 of those were first-round finishes. So he is red hot. I think if he beats Allen here, he's 2 or 3 fights from getting that title shot. So this is definitely a fight that you want to keep an eye on. Next, on May 30th, the UFC is going back to China. They're going to Macau. And I really like this main event. This is Song Yadong versus Davidson Figueiredo. Song obviously had that close decision loss to Sean O'Malley. Some said that they thought he got robbed. I probably gave that fight to O'Malley, but I did think Song had a chance at winning that one. And then we got Figueiredo, who is coming off of losses as well. He did lose to Umar Nurmagomedov, did lose to Petr Yan, but even though Davidson's older, I don't want to say old, but he's older, I do think he's talented, and I think if he can get this done against Song Yadong, it can definitely build up some confidence, and maybe he can go on a late run at the end of his career. The last main event that was announced was the June 6th card in Las Vegas. We got Belal Muhammad versus Gabriel Bonfim. Belal has been pretty much off the radar since he lost his belt to JDM. He did also have that loss to Ian Gary in Qatar. But, I mean, these are obviously, great fighters that he lost to. I don't think he's washed by any means. I mean, this fight will obviously, give us an indicator of that. But I think if he can beat Bonfim, can definitely build up a lot of confidence to where he's only maybe 1 or 2 fights away from maybe getting his belt back. Bonfim, on the other hand, had a great 2025. He beat Chaos Williams. He also had the win over Stephen Thompson. So he's coming off of a hot streak. So I don't think this will be an easy fight for Belal, but I do think Belal gets it done. Let me know down in the comments who you think is going to win any of these matchups. I do think these fights being announced is probably the UFC trying to save face over a lot of disappointment over the UFC White House card. But I will say I got to give them credit. I think they announced a lot of good fights here, so I'm excited to these next 9 events then leading up to the UFC White House. If you made it this far, please hit that subscribe button. This is a new channel, and I really appreciate your support. And with that, I'll see you on the next one.